can change anything and make it better together. Now we're strong, don't question it. The truth will break your chains. We have the key. Open your eyes and see.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do the story about Kaelyns, my pregnancy with Kaylyn, her labor, delivery, and life afterwards. I have notes because remembering everything from your pregnancy is hard, but when you have it jotted down, like, I remember everything about her pregnancy and about labor and delivery with her. It's just when you're trying to tell the story, you get mom brain and you get a little spacey with it. So my husband and I wanted to start our family relatively quickly after getting married. And I'm really gonna try not to say a million times. So in September, I stopped my birth control, and my doctor told me that it was going to take a few months for the birth control to fully get out of my system, and that it would probably be 6 months is the average time that people have to try before they get a positive, I guess. So I stopped in September of 2013. Our wedding was already planned for January 2014. We just kind of let whatever happens happen. We got our positive November 18th, which is, me and my husband started dating on September 18th. He proposed to me the next year on October 18th, and then we got our positive pregnancy test in 2013 on November 18th, which I thought was really cool. I was super excited when I found out. I could not contain myself. I went straight to calling my best friend and telling her about it, and of course I showed my husband first, but I was super excited. I then went on Google, handy dandy Google, and started to look up doctors and figuring out which one sounded like they were the most qualified and would be best for my personal wants. So I found one, and he doesn't see people before 10 weeks, so it's 10 weeks or after, which was a few weeks before the wedding. And so my husband was working. I had started working, but I was miserable with morning sickness. I was spotting. I was freaking out because I just had no energy and felt miserable. So it was causing me not to be able to go to work, but I also ended up getting really sick with bronchitis. So I had a fever, I was coughing, I was on antibiotics, and it was just a lot going on at that exact moment. I have my coffee. So along with my cramping and my spotting, I ended up not being able to work. So it was just my husband working, and at that point he couldn't take off to go to our appointment, so my mom went with me. She came with me because I was so nervous. I was so scared that something was going to be wrong, and I really didn't have a reason to think something was wrong, but I was scared something was going to happen and that I was going to get devastating news. So she came with me. When we got into the room, they did the blood pressure, weight, everything else, and then they told me that your first ultrasound is done internally. And so I had to get ready for that. I thought it was very awkward. I had not met this man before, but it turns out that he was amazing, and so it wasn't awkward as I thought it was going to be. As soon as he pulled the baby up on the ultrasound machine, we got to hear her heartbeat, and it was 171. I cried. As soon as the sound was in the room, I cried. He had, when I looked over at the ultrasound machine, I saw the little heartbeat flickering. I heard it. And he just had this look on his face that was just the sweetest, like, in awe moment. And you could tell that he loved his job. And so I'm crying, ugly crying at that. My mom starts laughing and she's asking me, Jessica, why are you crying? That's good. That's your baby's heartbeat. I couldn't explain it. I was just in awe that it was really my baby. So he printed me some pictures and I showed them to my husband. Every single month I would go in, and then we had the wedding. Everything went perfect. I fitted my dress like it. I was worried that I wouldn't, but I fitted my dress. I had a blast, and I couldn't picture it any other way. It was just us, and I had like an extra confidence that we're getting married and our family had already started. And so, like, our love story was different because it didn't take the normal turns that everybody else's does. So my spotting had stopped. My morning sickness had stopped. We had a few spurts where the morning sickness would come back, but it pretty much died down completely by 20 weeks. At 20 weeks, we did the full anatomy scan, and we tried to find out the gender. My little monkey, which was her nickname while I was pregnant, still is her nickname, had her legs completely and totally crossed and was breech. So we couldn't see anything. So we started talking about names, girl and boy, just because we wanted to find out the gender immediately and go with a name. Like, not just sit there and call the baby. And so I can't remember what name we picked out for a boy. I know what name we picked out a few other times with my other girls, but with Kaylyn, I can't remember the boy name that we came up with. But we came up with Kaylyn, which my mom's first name, his mom's middle name, my sister's middle name is Kay, and my middle name is Lynn. So I wanted it to be tied together and meaningful, that this little girl was going to be named after her family. And so, I'm in my kids' room, sorry. So we went with Kaylyn, and it fit my daughter. Those noisy books, I tell you, they love them. So around 26 weeks, we finally found out it was a girl. And again, my husband couldn't come to the ultrasound, so I got to find out. I went immediately to the store and bought a whole bunch of girl outfits, and I had them laid out across the back of a couch, and then I got a cake and wrote in blue frosting, "It's a girl," just to mess with him. And I got it all ready, so when he walked through the door, when he got off work, he saw it. His face, I will never forget. It was just the look of pure pride. It was a smile from ear to ear, and he laughed, and it was amazing. Like, I still have that picture in my head of him walking in, finding out that he was going to have his little girl named Kaylyn. From that day on, we called her Kaylyn. It was no more Monkey. Well, sometimes it was Monkey, but it wasn't just baby. It was Monkey or Kaylyn. So it really helped make everything real at that point, because as a lot of moms, I'm sure, have it, where it just seems so impossible. It doesn't seem real, but it was real. So at 34 weeks, we did another scan, and she was still breech. At that point, I was really scared that it was going to end up in C-section. And I had already had a labor plan, which I stupidly was dead set on. I did not want to flex at all on it. I wanted to go to the point of every little detail. And looking back, that was really stupid, especially after my second child. I realized how flexible you really need to be with your birth plan. It's good to have one, but you also need to know that you can't make everything go your way. So we did another ultrasound at 36 weeks, and he did a full scan to get measurements and saw that my fluid was lower than at 34 weeks. And I didn't feel like I was leaking or anything. I didn't feel like anything was different. She was still kicking really hard, and everything felt normal to what I knew would be normal, but I had never been pregnant before, so what is really normal? So he said that he was going to check me again at 38 weeks. Well, at 38 weeks, our schedules didn't match up, so it ended up being 38 weeks and 4 days. So it was pretty much almost 39 weeks, and I didn't know if that was going to cause any problems or not, but he did the scan. My fluid was even lower than before, but I still wasn't leaking, at least not to my knowledge. I mean, I didn't need to wear a pad. I wasn't having any change or anything like that to where I could tell, hey, yeah, no, it's going on. So we didn't know what was going on. She had also not gotten any bigger. So he said he wanted to induce me that day. I immediately started crying. I thought, oh my gosh, something is so wrong. He's doing this because there's something wrong with her. They need to get her out of me. I freaked out, which I think any first-time mom hearing you need to induce the baby's not getting bigger, and she's obviously not doing any more inside you, so we can get her out and feed her better out here. So that was July 17th. We, the next day, had plans to go get induced at 8 o'clock that night. But I wanted to make the best day of our last day being pregnant. So we went to my sister's house. We hung out with her for a little while. We went out to dinner. My best friend was with us at that point. And so my husband, my best friend, my sister, and I hung out. I took some last bump pictures with my husband, which I have on my phone. And it was a great time. Like, we didn't really go crazy. She almost knocked over my coffee. Terrible because of the view. But yeah, maybe if we... Oh, I'm having a horrible time with this. So yeah. But it was good. So we got to hang out and just enjoy the last little bit of our first pregnancy. Sorry about that. My daughter needed my attention for a little. So at 8 p.m. we checked into the hospital. They gave us the rundown of how everything was gonna go. They'd start with getting me into a gown, giving me an IV, which I didn't know that they put the IV like right there in your wrist. It was horrible. I think that was the most painful IV I've had. So they give you the IV, and then every 4 hours they come in and stick a pill internally in you. Like, they insert a pill into your cervix every 4 hours, and then they check your dilation. So we started the pills at like 9 o'clock at night, and my husband, my sister, and my best friend were gonna be staying with me. So we pretty much just tried to sleep as much as we could. I couldn't sleep because it was uncomfortable. I knew that a nurse was gonna be coming in, and I didn't want to be like them having to wake me up, be like, hey, it's time to open your legs, let's do this. So I didn't want to sleep very much. So the next morning my doctor came in, and nothing exciting had really happened. We thought that I'd be further dilated than I was. My hair looks funny. So we thought I'd be further dilated than I ended up being. I had only dilated to like a 1.5 at that point, but I was dilated enough that he could break my water. So we broke water, we started Pitocin, and got the epidural going, and we just hung out, did more waiting. Well, at 5, they had rolled me to my other side because every like 30 minutes to an hour they'll come in and up your Pitocin and they'll try and get you to switch sides so it doesn't just all settle. So I had to keep on going from my left side to my right side, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So at 5, they had rolled me onto my left side again. And I looked at my sister and I start crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much pressure. What is going on? And she got the most evil, excited look on her face, and she goes, it's time. And I was just like, what is wrong with you? Why are you so excited about this? I'm not excited about this. I feel the pain now. I'm not excited. But nurse came in, she checked me, and it was go time. It was definitely time to push. So the doctor came in and we began to push. Sorry, I had to adjust the camera. So we were pushing. I pushed for an hour. At 6:03, she was born. My beautiful little girl was born at 7 pounds, 3 ounces, and I instantly cried. As soon as she was born and I saw her, I cried. I had also chose that I wanted her cleaned off before I held her. A lot of people don't want that, and a lot of people just want to do immediate skin to skin. That is not for me, and if that's for you, that's awesome. I have a huge thing about goo or things on my hands or on me. I don't like it, so I opted for her to get cleaned up first. And I had to deliver the placenta anyways, so it worked out. So they're cleaning her up. I'm looking at her. She's on the weight. She's getting weighed, and she's on the warming table and everything. And at my hospital, it does the warming. It has oxygen. They can weigh them there, and they can do like the measurements and everything else in that little like warm incubator thing. Well, as much noise as the nurses, doctor, me crying, everybody congratulating me, saying good job, you did so amazing, saying she's so beautiful, the one sound I wanted to hear, I didn't. I thought it was strange. Sorry. I always thought it was strange when everybody's congratulating me and everything else, how in all the videos that I had seen, all the books that I had read, that after the Ring of Fire and everything else, that after your baby's born they cry, and she didn't. I looked over at my sister and she had been taking pictures, and I noticed that she stopped taking pictures, and the nurses are like shaking her back and like patting her on the back and tapping her legs, and they're suctioning her, and she just wasn't making any noise, and the room fell like instantly quiet all at the same time. Like everybody took like 30 seconds of just being quiet, and she let out the quietest, the softest little cry, and immediately I started crying again because the flood of "oh, she is okay" finally hit, along with she's really here and she's perfect. She has all fingers, all toes, her full head of hair. It was amazing. So finally I got her put in my arms. My husband and I had taken a family picture, which I can show you because I do have that on my phone also. And no, I don't know how to do it. So that was our first family picture. At that point, I had already had the epidural off, and it had been a good like 30 minutes, so we just needed to wait a little bit longer. And after you have an epidural, you have to wait an hour before they let you get up and walk around. So when my hour was up, I was dead set I wanted to get up and I wanted to put my clothes on because I was going to get out of this hospital gown and put my regular clothes on as soon as possible. So I got out of the bed and the nurses like are all hovering and they're going to the bathroom with me and they're showing me what to do, how to do it. Like, I didn't know how to use the bathroom. And I remember being really frustrated with them because at that point I thought that they were coddling me and didn't think I could do it by myself. And I was like, no, I got this. Later to find out why they were showing me everything, and I'm very grateful for them. So after that, I got put in a wheelchair. Baby was put in the little bassinet thing that they have, and all the bags got put on my lap, and my husband and I went to our labor or mother baby unit. And as soon as like my dad came and visited that night, and everything just seemed so unreal at that point. Like, we really had a baby. Once everybody had left, I just sat there and I looked at my husband, and at that point he had her just sitting on his chest. And it's undescribable how much my heart loved him that moment. And I always thought, it sounds corny, but I always thought when I married him that I could never love him any more than I do right now. But seeing him be a dad has given me a whole new perspective of love for him. I love him as my best friend, my husband, my partner in crime, my everything, but I love him most at being the dad to my children. He's amazing with them. They go gaga over him, and it's really amazing to see the bond that they all have together. So after we had everybody come and visit us and everything else, I got discharged the next day. I was shocked I got discharged so quickly, but it was awesome because I got to go home. My husband and I got loaded up in the car and we got home and there was one of those little pink It's a Girl stork in our front yard, and it was adorable. I was shocked that my dad had done that. It was really cute and like just touching that they thought to do that for me. So at home, the healing wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's very overwhelming when you get home because there's not nurses checking on you, giving you your medication when you need it. So you really have to stay on top of your pain management. I think my biggest joy was getting to take a shower. After having her grow inside of me and make it uncomfortable to bend and shave my legs or wash my feet, it was so satisfying to be able to take a shower and just be me. Just have my little bit of alone time back to myself. I was happy with my recovery. I can't say that anything really stands out to me. I also did not talk about breastfeeding Kaylyn once. I didn't want to. I didn't know enough about it, didn't educate myself enough about it, didn't think about it. I didn't have any milk or anything for like a week and a half. And then when it came in, I did get engorged, and it was unbearable to me at times. But what I noticed helped most with me, because I did not want to breastfeed, was just hand expressing a little amount until it wasn't painful and putting cold compresses on my chest. That was really it. She took a bottle really, really well. She slept through the night at, I believe, 3 or 4 weeks. Like, it was quick. And she was always just really happy. And now it's hard to believe that she's gonna be 5 this year, and she has 3 little sisters, and she takes such good care of them. She's such a helper. She is so smart, and wild and rambunctious and herself. Like, I have 4 kids that look so much alike, at times act so much alike, but they all have their very own little quirk that makes them their own little person. And I can say that I couldn't picture my life any differently. So yeah, my 7-pound little girl that was so quiet and scared the living crap out of me at delivery is now almost 5 years old, is wild, loud, crazy, energetic, and I couldn't ask for a better child. So I think that's all for Kaelyns' story, I guess we can call it. From getting pregnant to giving birth and healing to now 4 years old. Crazy how time flies. Enjoy them while they're little. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions about any part of it and want more detail, let me know and I can do a follow-up. So I think that's it. My next video will be up soon, hopefully. Also, I'm going to do Brooklyn's story, Emma's story, Amber's story, a story about my tattoos, and if you have any other ideas for videos, let me know. Alright, thanks.
I picture everything you're fighting for.